In the silent moments of despair, have you ever felt like no one hears your cries? Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff, the wind howling around you, and below the abyss. What would you do? How would you find strength? Today, we're diving into a powerful message of hope and resilience that might just change the way you face your battles. Picture this: a warrior, battle-worn and weary, raising his voice to the heaven. His words, ancient yet timeless, echo through the ages, resonating with anyone who has ever felt alone in their struggles. What could this warrior teach us about finding peace in chaos? As we unravel the secrets within these verses, think about your own life. Have you ever reached out in desperation, hoping for an answer? What if that answer was closer than you ever imagined? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover might just be the key to unlocking a newfound strength within you. Can you feel the anticipation building? Let's journey together through these words and see how a prayer from centuries ago can still stir our hearts today. Ready to uncover the hidden gems of wisdom? Let's dive in. The Psalm 28 begins with a fervent plea from David, who is desperately asking God to listen to his cry for help. He is terrified of the thought of God remaining silent, as he fears being counted among those who descend to the pit, which metaphorically means those who die or are condemned. David's words are filled with urgency and deep emotion, highlighting his profound dependence on God's response. This plea for divine attention is not just a simple request. It is a heartfelt cry that underscores the gravity of his situation. David's plea is not just about his personal need, but also reflects a broader spiritual truth. He understands that without God's intervention, he is lost. This sense of desperation is something many people can relate to, especially in moments of extreme distress or danger. David's words remind us that it is natural to seek divine help when we feel helpless. His cry for mercy is a testament to his faith, showing that even in the darkest times, he turns to God for solace and rescue. Moreover, David's fear of being counted among those who go down to the pit reveals his understanding of the consequences of being abandoned by God. He knows that without God's guidance and protection, he is vulnerable to the same fate as the wicked. This acknowledgement of his vulnerability is a powerful aspect of his prayer, as it shows his humility and recognition of his own limitation. He is aware that his survival and well-being are entirely dependent on God's mercy and intervention. David's plea also has a communal aspect to it. By asking God not to be silent, he is not only seeking personal salvation, but also the assurance that God is actively involved in the lives of his people. This reflects the broader context of the psalm, where the well-being of the community is intertwined with individual prayers and supplications. David's cry for help is thus a reminder of the interconnectedness of personal faith and communal well-being. In summary, the opening of Psalm 28 sets the stage for a deep and heartfelt conversation between David and God. His fervent plea for help and mercy underscores his profound dependence on God's intervention. It reflects his awareness of the dire consequences of divine silence and his recognition of his own limitations. David's cry is not just a personal appeal, but also a reflection of the broader communal need for God's active presence and intervention. Before we dive into today's content, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you enjoy our videos and want to see more exciting content, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. It's the best way to support us and stay updated on all the new meditations and videos we share. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you for being part of our community. Now, enjoy the video. In the next part of the psalm, David prays not to be taken away with the wicked and the evildoers. This plea highlights the stark contrast between the righteous and the wicked. He points out that the wicked speak peace with their neighbors, but malice is in their hearts. This duplicity is something that David wants to be separated from, emphasizing the importance of integrity and honesty. David's request to be set apart from the wicked is not just a personal desire for safety, but also a reflection of his commitment to righteousness. He understands that being associated with the wicked can lead to dire consequences, both spiritually and physically. This separation is crucial for maintaining his integrity, staying true to his faith. By asking God to distinguish him from the evildoers, David is reaffirming his commitment to living a life that aligns with divine principles. The contrast between the righteous and the wicked is a recurring theme in the Psalms, and it serves as a moral lesson for the readers. David's prayer highlights the importance of living a life of integrity and sincerity. The wicked may deceive others with their words, but their true intentions are malicious. This hypocrisy is something that David wants to be completely removed from. His plea for separation underscores the value of genuine righteousness and the dangers of living a double life. Moreover, David's prayer also serves as a reminder that God is the ultimate judge who can discern the true intentions of the heart. While people may be deceived by outward appearances, God sees the true nature of every individual. David's request to be separated from the wicked is thus a recognition of God's omniscience and his ability to administer true justice. This acknowledgement of divine justice reinforces the importance of living a life that is pleasing to God. In conclusion, David's plea to be set apart from the wicked highlights the importance of integrity and sincerity. It reflects his commitment to living a righteous life and his desire to be free from the influence of evildoers. This prayer serves as a moral lesson on the dangers of hypocrisy and the value of genuine righteousness. It also emphasizes the role of God as the ultimate judge who can discern the true intentions of the heart. David's request is a reaffirmation of his faith and his desire to live a life that aligns with divine principle. David begins this section of the psalm by pleading with God for justice. He asks God to give the wicked what they deserve, based on their actions and the evil they have committed. David believes that justice should be proportional to the deeds of individuals, and he desires to see God's righteous judgment enacted. This plea reflects a deep sense of moral order and a belief that divine justice will ultimately prevail. David's request for retribution reveals his trust in God's fairness. He is confident that God will not allow the wicked to go unpunished. This belief is a cornerstone of David's faith. He sees God's justice as a fundamental aspect of his character. By asking for the wicked to be dealt with according to their deeds, David underscores the importance of accountability and the assurance that God is always watching over his creation. The concept of divine justice is comforting to David. He knows that human justice can often be flawed and imperfect. God's justice is absolute and unfailing. This conviction allows David to find peace and reassurance amidst the turmoil caused by the wicked. He trusts that God will set things right, even if human authorities fail to do so. David's plea also serves as a warning to the wicked. By calling upon God to administer justice, he is reminding the evildoers that their actions have consequences. This is not just a personal plea, but a broader call for moral integrity within the community. David's words resonate with a desire for societal righteousness and a world where God's justice is manifest. Ultimately, David's call for justice is an expression of his deep faith in God's sovereignty. He believes that God is the ultimate judge and that his judgments are just and true. This belief shapes David's worldview and provides a foundation for his prayers, actions, and expectations of divine intervention. It reflects a profound trust in the moral order established by God. David emphasizes the sovereignty and justice of God, recognizing that he is the one who brings down the wicked. This acknowledgement is crucial because it places God at the center of all moral judgment. David understands that the wicked fall because they fail to comprehend God's works and the power of his hand. This failure to recognize and respect God's sovereignty is a fundamental flaw that leads to their downfall. The acknowledgement of God's sovereignty is a theme that runs throughout David's life and writings. It is a recognition that God is in control of all things, and his will prevails over human intentions. This belief provides David with a sense of security and trust in God's plans, even when circumstances seem dire. He knows that God's justice will ultimately prevail, regardless of human actions. David's recognition of God's sovereignty also implies a call to humility for all believers. It serves as a reminder that human understanding is limited and that acknowledging God's supreme authority is essential. This humility is crucial for maintaining a proper relationship with God and for living a life that aligns with his will. It is a call to trust in God's wisdom and to submit to his divine plan. Furthermore, David's acknowledgement of God's sovereignty is an expression of worship. By recognizing God's ultimate authority, David is exalting him and giving him the honor due to his name. This worship is not just about praising God for his power, but also for his righteous judgment and moral governance. It is an affirmation of God's character and a declaration of faith in his divine rule. In essence, David's recognition of God's sovereignty is a foundational aspect of faith. It shapes his understanding of justice, his approach to prayer, and his overall relationship with God. This belief in God's ultimate authority provides David with a solid foundation for his life and his leadership. It is a testament to his unwavering trust in God's righteous and sovereign rule. David expresses deep gratitude to God for hearing his cry. This expression of thanks is not just a casual acknowledgement, but a profound declaration of God's faithfulness. David recognizes that God's intervention is a direct response to his prayers, and he is filled with joy and thanksgiving. This gratitude is a natural response to experiencing God's goodness and mercy. The act of praising God is central to David's relationship with him. By exalting God as his strength and shield, David is affirming his dependence on God. He acknowledges that his safety and security come from God's protection. This recognition is a source of immense joy for David, as it reinforces his trust in God's provision and care. David's heart is filled with joy because he trusts in God. This trust is not just a fleeting emotion, but a deep-seated belief that shapes his entire outlook on life. David's faith in God's protection and guidance allows him to face challenges with confidence. His joy is a reflection of the peace and assurance that come from knowing that God is in control. The expression of gratitude is also an act of worship for David. By thanking God for his intervention, David is honoring him and giving him the glory he deserves. This act of worship is a vital part of David's spiritual life, as it reinforces his connection with God and strengthens his faith. It is a way for David to acknowledge God's greatness and to celebrate his goodness. Ultimately, David's praise and gratitude are expressions of his deep love for God. They are a testament to his unwavering faith and his recognition of God's constant presence in his life. This gratitude is not just about acknowledging what God has done, but also about celebrating who God is. It is a reflection of David's deep and abiding relationship with his Creator. David highlights the confidence he has in God's protection. He believes that God is the strength of his people and the saving refuge of his anointed one. This confidence is not just a personal belief, but a communal assurance that extends to all of God's people. David's trust in God's protection is a cornerstone of his faith and leadership. This confidence in divine protection is rooted in David's personal experiences. Throughout his life, he has witnessed God's intervention and protection in numerous situations. These experiences have reinforced his belief that God is a reliable and steadfast protector. David's confidence is not based on abstract theology, but on concrete experiences of God's faithfulness. David's assurance of God's protection also serves as an encouragement to others. By declaring his trust in God's protection, he is inspiring his people to have the same confidence. This communal trust is essential for the well-being and unity of the community. It fosters a sense of collective security and reliance on God's providence. The belief in divine protection is also a source of strength for David. It allows him to face challenges and adversities with courage and resilience. Knowing that God is his refuge gives David the fortitude to lead and make difficult decisions. This strength is not just physical, but also spiritual, enabling him to persevere in the face of trials. Ultimately, David's confidence in God's protection is an expression of his deep faith. It reflects his understanding of God's character and his unwavering trust in his promises. This confidence shapes David's actions, prayers, and leadership. It is a testament to his profound belief in a God who is always present, always faithful, and always protective. David concludes the psalm with a prayer for the salvation of his people. He asks God to save his people, bless his inheritance, and be their shepherd forever. This prayer reflects David's deep concern for the well-being of his community and his recognition of their dependence on God's guidance and protection. The prayer for salvation is a natural extension of David's faith. He understands that true security and well-being come from God alone. By praying for his people, David is interceding on their behalf, seeking God's favor and blessings for them. This act of intercession is a vital part of his role as a leader and a shepherd of his people. David's prayer also reflects his understanding of the communal nature of faith. He recognizes that his relationship with God is not just personal, but also communal. The well-being of the community is intertwined with the faithfulness of its members. David's prayer is a call for collective faith and reliance on God's grace and protection. The imagery of God as a shepherd is significant in this prayer. It portrays God as a caring and protective guide who leads his people with love and wisdom. This imagery resonates deeply with David, who himself was a shepherd before becoming a king. It reflects his understanding of God's nurturing and guiding role in the lives of his people. Ultimately, David's prayer for the salvation of his people is an expression of his deep love and concern for them. It is a testament to his leadership and his commitment to their well-being. This prayer encapsulates David's faith, his understanding of God's character, and his desire for his people to experience God's blessings and protection. It is a fitting conclusion to the psalm, reflecting the interconnectedness, faith, community, and divine grace. The psalmist emphasizes the unwavering trust in God's protection, portraying him as the strength and the fortress of his chosen one. This metaphor of God as a fortress implies a place of absolute safety, where no harm can reach the faithful. The idea of God being the strength of his people conveys an image of a powerful support system, an ever-present help in times of trouble. This trust is not just an abstract concept, but a lived reality for the psalmist who has experienced God's saving power firsthand. The notion of God as a fortress and strength indicates a personal and communal relationship. It's not just about individual safety, but about the collective security of the community of believers. The psalmist is confident that this protection is not limited to a specific time or circumstance, but is a continuous, enduring presence. This assurance allows the believers to face adversities with a sense of peace and confidence, knowing that they are under divine protection. Moreover, this trust in divine protection is deeply rooted in past experiences of God's faithfulness. The psalmist recalls times when God has acted as a shield, providing not just physical safety but also emotional and spiritual support. This historical faithfulness serves as a foundation for present and future trust, reinforcing the belief that God will continue to be their protector. This dynamic relationship between past experiences and future expectations is a critical aspect of the psalmist's faith. The language used here is not just poetic, but deeply personal. Words like strength and fortress are chosen to evoke strong feelings of safety and security. They are meant to reassure the believers that God's protection is both powerful and reliable. This vivid imagery helps to build a strong emotional connection between the believers and their God, reinforcing their faith and trust in his protection. In essence, the psalmist's emphasis on divine protection serves as a powerful reminder of God's unwavering commitment to his people. It reassures the faithful that they are not alone in their struggles, that they have a divine protector who is always with them. This confidence in God's protection is a cornerstone of the psalmist's faith, providing a sense of peace and security that transcends any earthly troubles. The psalm concludes with a heartfelt prayer for the salvation of God's people. The psalmist implores God to save his people, bless his inheritance, shepherd them, and carry them forever. This prayer is not just for individual salvation, but for the entire community of believers. It highlights the psalmist's deep concern for the well-being of God's people and his trust in God's ability to save and bless them. The request for God to save his people reflects a deep understanding of human vulnerability and the need for divine intervention. The psalmist acknowledges that without God's saving power, people are helpless. This plea for salvation is also a recognition of God's sovereignty and his role as the ultimate savior. It underscores the belief that true salvation comes from God alone, and that he has the power to rescue his people from any situation. The prayer also includes a request for God to bless his inheritance. This indicates a desire for God's favor and grace to be upon his people. The term inheritance signifies a special relationship between God and his people, one that is marked by divine favor and blessing. The psalmist's plea for blessing is a request for continued divine favor, guidance, and provision for the community of believers. Furthermore, the psalmist asks God to shepherd his people. This imagery of God as a shepherd conveys a sense of care, guidance, and protection. A shepherd is responsible for the well-being of the flock, leading them to green pastures, protecting them from harm, and ensuring their needs are met. By asking God to shepherd his people, the psalmist is expressing a desire for God's continual guidance and protection over the community. Lastly, the psalmist prays for God to carry his people forever. This request emphasizes the need for God's enduring support and care. It reflects a trust in God's everlasting faithfulness and a belief that he will always be there for his people. This prayer for divine support is a powerful expression of the psalmist's faith and trust in God's unending care and protection for his people. As we reflect on Psalm 28, let's remember the power of David's words. "The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him. He helps me." Isn't it comforting to know that we have a divine protector? Imagine facing your challenges with the unwavering confidence that David had. What would change in your life if you truly believed that God is your strength and shield? Think about the battles you face daily, big or small. What if you approach them knowing you have this divine support? Take a moment to visualize the peace and strength comes from this trust. How does it feel to let go of your fears and place your confidence in God? Now let's take this inspiration forward. How can you incorporate this powerful message into your daily routine? Maybe it's through a moment of prayer in the morning or a quiet reflection before bed. What will you do today to remind yourself of God's unwavering support? Share your thoughts in the comments below. How has Psalm 28 impacted you? What steps will you take to live with this newfound strength and trust? Don't forget to hit the like button if you found this video helpful and subscribe for more devotions, prayers, and inspiration. Let's continue this journey together, finding strength and hope in every word of the Psalms.